Last Sunday, we featured a conversation with the longtime outgoing director of HomeShare Vermont. She told us hundreds of people have applied to her agency, hoping to find a place to live in this super tight housing market. It is the agency's job to carefully screen every candidate and then see if they have a compatible match with an interested homeowner. Nancy Stone falls into that second category. She lives alone in Williston now after her husband fell ill. The retired teacher saw the possibilities and this morning tells her story. It did not take Nancy Stone very long to decide to give home sharing a try. Back in 2020, she and her husband Ken welcomed their first guest. They lived in a big place back then. At her kitchen table the other day, she told us the story.
Did you have reservations going in?
None at all. It took my husband a year and a half to say this was the right decision. But
you've had three
we did, yes.
Matches.
Yes. So when we had all that acreage and my husband did not want to move, I said, what about HomeShare? And he said, well, that'd be okay. And so I emailed, and within the week we had somebody.
Why'd you want to do it?
We needed some income before Social Security kicked in, and I needed help with maintaining the land because it was 21 acres, and Ken was slowing down. And I also needed someone to talk to because language and conversation diminish as well with dementia. And we found the fellow that was just perfect, and I have more to say about him. We laughed and told stories the whole interview. What they do at HomeShare Vermont is do big background checks on both sides to make sure that you're all fine. And then they sit in a circle, and people have different clients that they're working with as a host or a guest. And they say, oh, this one might be perfect for this one. And so they think about how to match you up in your interests, which was great. And Jason turned out to be a poet, and I eventually became a poet. A lot of stories. He came from Israel, but he was American. And we had been to Israel, so it was amazing.
This is Jason, the first HomeShare guest in the kitchen with Ken Stone.
And then when things changed with Ken, I knew we had to downsize and get to a manageable place. And Jason was like, oh, he was losing his home and our friendship. And then I realized there's a room downstairs at the new place where he could move. And I said, would you want to move with us? He said, yes. So he was with us for a year and a half and moved with us. And then he moved out of state. And when he wanted to come back and visit his children once a month, that was nice, I'd see him maybe. The first time he came back was October 2020, and he had the flu and he slept in his car. And I went, this is not okay. So I said, Jason, you can stay overnight. You left your mattress. I haven't sold it. And so we meet up, and that's been going on for 3 years now. And we still laugh and tell stories. And he's up here for one or two nights a month. So then he left, and I have more stories.
So you've had three?
Yes.
And what's the arrangement been?
Well, with Jason, it was unique to Vermont HomeShare. I knew he didn't have much money. So since he worked in maintenance, I said, tell me your hourly wage, and we can work out a deal where I get things done and you have less rent. And it worked out great. In fact, one night he came home from a long day. I said, Jason, the sink is clogged. And he got down on the floor in a good mood and solved it. There was a piece of silverware from the previous owner. And it was just so nice. It was just really good.
So in each of your three matches, they've contributed something to in rent?
Yes, there is a rent, but it's very low compared. I think at that time the highest they would go was $600 a month. It helped us, and it certainly helped people who were looking for a lower rent.
but it's also provided something more than
Yes.
financial benefit.
And so you need to think about both sides. What are you looking for besides the rent or the lower rent? And in the first case with our first person, again, as I said, we needed to have some companionship, some help around the house, and the rent. With the second person, he moved in soon after the first person left. He was a teacher, I was a teacher. We had a lot in common. He had a high expense condominium and he wanted to save money for a home with his girlfriend, so he was very happy with the lower rent. Wonderful conversations for both of us. I supported him as an experienced teacher, retired. And near the end, he helped me develop my new website and even came back after his rent and when he moved out to help me with it. So it was really wonderful. In that case, in every case, you have a contract after a 2-week trial period with no commitment of any sort. And we were so compatible, this is Lucas, that we decided, forget the 2 weeks, this is working. So the contract said, I really need to have help on Thursday night to go to choir practice and Sunday morning to sing in choir, because I needed that, and I was very housebound being a caregiver. And he said, I can do that. And so he did it consistently, and it really helped my spirit. So good conversation, rent, of course, and support with that.
Once they're screened, HomeShare hosts like Nancy and prospective guests have a first meeting. If they like each other, a 2-week in-home trial follows. Then it's a month-to-month arrangement. Either party can cancel any time, but on average, people stay 18 months or so.
When he left this past June, at the same time, things were changing with Ken, and I needed to have him find a place at a memory care center. And they happened to have a place nearby. And after only a month there, he said this was the right decision. It took him 1.5 years for this place, but after a month. So he's, I'd say, content. He's a very delightful, cheerful person, and I'm more cheerful and more content. And I go up and see him, take him out for rides, etc. So there were 3 months there after he left and Lucas left that I had no one here. And I thought, how's this feeling? And then I realized, you just turned 80 and winter's coming and it's dark. And if I should fall, who would know? So I thought, I do want something with HomeShare. And it's not so much as compatibility with Ken, it's compatibility with me. So I was looking for friendship, conversation. The rent helps because long-term care and memory care centers are very expensive.
HomeShare Vermont matched Nancy with a third guest named France. She's 67. She moved in a couple of days earlier and was at work the day we came by.
It's going well because of the matching at the beginning before we even meet. And we do have an interview at the beginning just to sound each other out. So
What would you say then to other Vermonters who might be a little tentative on
I've
the
met
arrangement?
them. I've met friends, even a 90-year-old friend, who don't want to have someone else in the house. I love the laughter, and I really needed that and still need it. I like having someone come home and say, hi, I'm home, or welcome home from me. So far, all 3 people have lives outside and might be going away on the weekend or something, or working, so I do have my own time. But it's just, if you know what you need and what you're seeking, HomeShare Vermont can help you match that with someone else who's seeking similar things. And it's just another adventure to get someone else kind of circling, who are you, who am I, and how does this work? And it's been wonderful. And I've had at least one friend convinced, and he did it too. So at any age, I might say.
Nancy Stone. HomeShare Vermont was among the first programs of its kind in the U.S. when it launched 40 years ago in the Burlington area. They are now in 7 counties, and soon Windsor County will make 8.